everyone. Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey, and I'm here with Kaz. And this week, we're starting a new series that will be kind of intermittent. We'll just throw it in whenever. And it's called Rides and Drives Legends of Indy. Legends.
Sorry, I can't not laugh.
That's fine. It's Legends of Indy. We're going to go back and look at some of the great drivers in the IndyCar series of all time. And this week, we're going to start with Bobby Rahal. So, for a number of reasons, not least of which because of his great success, but also I've been lucky enough to spend some time with him over the years, and I thought he'd be a fun person to start with.
Yeah, I had a great time. I mean, I know Bobby Rahal as a team owner. I've haven't been consuming IndyCar long enough to watch him as a full-time driver. I had such an excellent time reading about this guy's history and career. And I can tell I missed a really great era there in the
Yeah.
in the mid to late 80s. That would have been a really great time to be a fan of Bobby Rahal.
Yeah, it was. He had great success then. I met him first in the late 80s when I was doing IndyCar advertising for Chevrolet, and just got to know him a little bit through my interactions at the track. But then a couple of years ago, I think it was about 7, 8 years ago, BMW invited me to Savannah to go to the historic races there and do a story on BMW's historic race car collection. And at the time, RLL, Rahal Letterman Lanigan, was managing the BMW Classic collection and bringing them to the races so they could be driven. Well, unbeknownst to me, one of the great things I was going to get to do on that weekend was take hot laps around the Savannah racetrack with Bobby Rahal in the BMW 1975 BMW CSL 3.0. Yes.
Okay, wait, just 1 second.
Yeah.
When did you find out Bobby was driving you? Did you open the passenger side door and then there he is in the driver's seat? Or did
No,
they give you any notice?
they gave me a quick heads up
Okay.
beforehand, but that was still, it's like the day of.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you want to go for a ride with Bobby Rahal? And you know what I said? Fuck
Hell yeah.
yes. Of course I was going to. So, yeah, no, it was great. And we got about 3 or 4 laps around that track, which is a small track, but it was super fun. And watching Bobby drive that car was incredible. This is the car that won Sebring in 1975, the 12 Hours of Sebring in 1975 at the hands of Brian Redman and Hans Stuck. It's a very famous BMW car. If you haven't seen it, look it up. The 1975 3.0 CSL. It was nicknamed the Batmobile, and when you look at it, you'll understand why. So anyway,
What a
I got
dream.
I got to meet him there. We talked over dinner that evening, talked about his racing career, his dealerships, that kind of stuff. And then I got to spend more time with him a few years later at his private garage at the Autobahn Motor Club outside of Chicago, Autobahn Country Club. It's a private racetrack. And he has a garage there with a bunch of his cars, including the Indy car that he won his last championship in. So
1992, right?
yeah, so lots of, I have some pretty fun history with Rahal. And so
Yeah.
why not start with him, this series
Yeah.
with him because of that? So
Well,
yeah,
before we dive into his history and the story, I just have one quick question. You said you got to sit with him over dinner. You've gotten to talk with him many times. Did he ever tell you kind of what his highlight of his career was?
Yeah, we did talk about this, and obviously the Indy 500 he won, kind of celebrating Jim Truman,
Hmm.
just before he passed away. That was a big moment for him. But one of his, he still cherishes his first race win in an Indy car, and then also his first win at Mid Ohio was very meaningful to him as well,
Sure.
because that's a local track, a home track, things like that. So
Yeah.
he's he had a number of career highlights, of course, but that was a big one for him. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, number of highlights. Let's start from the beginning.
Well, this guy was successful right from the start. I mean, he
Hmm.
got his start in SCCA racing in what was a Class B sports car, driving a Lola at the time. This is a single seat, closed wheel sports car, 2 liter. Um, Actually, a pretty serious place to start your racing career. I'm not sure what he did before that because they don't talk about his amateur career. I haven't been able to find a lot, and unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to talk to him before this interview or before this episode. But he raced in that and finished third in the championship that year. So, and then the next year he moved into an open wheel series. It was called Formula B at the time. It became Formula Atlantic, which is now Indy Lights. And
Okay.
he won that championship the next year and did very well in it the following year as well. So well, in fact, that in 1979, at the end of the Formula One season, the two races were the U.S. and Canadian Grand Prix. Wolf
Hmm.
Motorsports hired him to run those two races. So here's this kid 2, 3 years out of college driving F1.
And he finished 12th
Yeah,
in the US Grand Prix, which is, for a first time in a Formula One car, a 12th place finish is huge. And I don't believe he finished,
he didn't
um,
finish. He retired the Canadian Grand Prix, but yeah,
but
12th in a team from a team that wasn't a league
mhm,
team, all of that stuff, and
jumping into a Formula One car and finishing 12th is absolutely huge. So,
exactly. So after that, he began his IndyCar career.
where he made another huge splash, rookie with a new team, finished second in the championship.
He had 2 wins that year. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So um,
I
he
know that IndyCar is different now than it
yeah.
was then, but I mean, I'm trying to picture
Look,
Robert Schwartzman finishing second in the championship with Prema this year, and it's just unfathomable.
right. I mean, yeah, it was
And it is
it it
now,
it was
but
very different, but at the same time, we're talking about the 80s, and there were phenomenal drivers. And Penske's in there, obviously,
mhm,
still with Rick Mears, number of other great drivers. So it's not like he walked into some kind of a weak series. This
yeah,
is, he walked into top tier motorsports and competed at the highest level right away.
yep,
So, you know, and that really bears out throughout the rest of his career. I mean, he was rookie of the year in 82. In 86, he won the Indy 500. So we're talking just 4 years into his IndyCar career. He was champion that year as
yep,
well in 86. He
back
was
to back
back to
championships.
back in 87 with True Sports. And the other thing he did in 1987 is he won the 12 hours of Sebring. So before
That's
the Indy,
right.
he just got into cars and drove and won.
Taking a weekend off, gonna
Yeah.
go race another series. It's very Max Verstappen, let's be honest.
Yeah. And then in 92, he won the kart championship again.
Hmm.
And the interesting thing about that championship is he is the only owner driver to have ever won an IndyCar championship.
Yeah.
So, and
Not just vanity for him. And then 92, unless I'm incorrect, that's the year he acquired the team, right?
correct. That was the first year as a team owner. So, when we talk about how we might be a little disappointed that RLL isn't more successful now, this is kind of
Hmm.
why. We're talking about an incredible championship pedigree for this team
Yeah,
and
definitely.
background. So, interesting story about acquiring the team, right?
Yeah, this was maybe one of my favorite little pieces of story that I read in preparation for this episode. So he came to own the team, maybe to a little bit of surprise even to himself. In 1991, the team he was racing for, Patrick Racing, owned by a man named Pat Patrick, which I can't stop laughing about.
Oh, Pat
Um,
is an old family friend, actually. Your Uncle
no
Mickey
way.
and he did some business together.
Well, many members of the Briggs family have an interesting and checkered past, and I got to side eye somebody who's close buddies with Pat Patrick because the reason he was forced to sell the team. He got himself into some legal trouble. The team was purchasing engines from Alfa Romeo, got their hands on a Chevy engine and sent it over to the Alfa Romeo factory. They broke it down, studied it, sent it back. Then rumors started surfacing around the paddock about how this engine got to them. And it kind of came back to everybody saying Pat Patrick supplied a competitor engine to Alfa Romeo to study and to break down. Um, at the same time, Bobby Rahal is pushing to switch to the Chevy engine. That's what he wanted all along. That's why he left True Sports. Uh, Chevy refused to make a deal with Pat Patrick. They said, you have operated in very bad faith with us, and we are not going to work with you. It just boiled down to a situation where he could no longer retain ownership of the team. Bobby, looking to switch engines, and his partner Carl Hogan were able to step in and purchase the team. As soon as Bobby was the one they were doing business with, Chevrolet was like, "Hey, yeah, great, happy to give you that engine, bud, and go on and win a championship with it." And then he did.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, a career filled with highlights and great stories. Some other interesting facts. He was the first IndyCar driver to win $1 million in one season. You
Oh,
know, Part of that is talent. The other part is, of course, always the escalating salaries. Doesn't mean
sure.
he was the most successful ever, but he just happened to be in the right seat at the right time to make
At
that
that
happen.
time, he was the most successful guy, so
Yep.
good for him.
Yeah, and he recorded victories in 10 seasons, 8 straight seasons at one point. So says a lot about his consistency as well. And
And his last 5 years as a driver, they were having a little bit of struggles with marrying the engine and chassis. It seemed like there were a lot of problems beyond who was behind the wheel of the car, and he didn't record a win in those last 5 years.
yeah.
So, if we're looking at a career of wins, okay, cut it down by 5 seasons because I don't really want to count that last five.
Well, I mean, in 1980 or 94, it was not a great season for him, but he did finish third at Indy. So it's not like he didn't do anything that
That's actually really interesting. It was 94 is the season that they attempted to run the Honda engine, which we
right.
now know just took a little while to
Yeah.
build to incredible success. But they ran the Honda engine in 94, did not work for them. The Indy 500 is the only race that season that they swapped engines.
Yeah, exactly. And
They were
it,
not running the Honda.
yeah, and
So,
they introduced the Honda engine to IndyCar.
yeah,
They were the team that Honda said, we're going to develop this with you.
yeah.
So,
And
based
they
on their
pulled it
success.
early and unfortunately then had to watch other teams have years and years of success with Honda.
And it's interesting now because part of Ray Hall's business is Honda dealerships, right? He owns a couple of Honda dealerships, Acura dealership. He also owns Mercedes, BMW, and Toyota Lexus dealerships. He has 11 car dealerships. Um, and in Pennsylvania, and one of the interesting things is a couple years ago when Honda came out with the new Civic Type R, which is a very desirable car, one of my favorite, hot hatches to drive, manual transmission only, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were one of the only dealerships in the country not to put a dealer markup on the car. You could buy it at sticker when almost everyone else around the country
Oh,
was charging 20, $30,000 over sticker price because it was so desirable. So to me, that says a lot about him and his business practices as a person where he
that's good behavior.
yeah, I've always kind of admired him as a racer and as a person, and that's just one little proof point about some of the nice things about the man.
It kind of forwards a for the love of cars and driving.
Yeah,
It's
he's just paying it forward, right?
yeah,
Here's a guy who made his life in cars because he was passionate about it early and able to pass that on to people and
make it. Make it
allow
accessible.
yeah, allow what's supposed to be an affordable sports car affordable, where so many other dealerships, when they get these hot cars, mark them up. I mean, it's incredible how that happens across the industry. But to have a dealership that won't do that, that's great.
Yeah. If you're looking for a car in Pennsylvania,
There you go.
maybe,
Why?
maybe check
Mm,
them out. I don't know.
exactly.
And the last couple of years of his career were a little quieter. He won his last race in 92, the same year he won his last championship. Still respectable finishes to the end, but that's also not where Bobby Rahal's IndyCar career ended. And, obviously he was already a team owner. But one thing that I really, really respect about him as an owner is how great he's been at spotting young talent. A lot of young drivers have come through RLL. Two notables on the grid today, Christian Lundgaard and Santino Ferrucci, competed for a seat at RLL. He was looking at both of them very seriously. And look, personal opinions aside, if we're looking at Bobby Rahal scouting talent, Danica Patrick's rookie season was astounding.
Right.
She took 3 poles, 7 top 10s. She finished 12th in points as a rookie. Obviously, that's going to win you Rookie of the Year. And I think maybe most notably, she started and finished fourth at the Indy 500. So,
Yeah. I
that's a
mean,
performance only a lizard person can put in. We should have known something was wrong right then and there. But
yeah. We can argue about her personality now and some of the crazy claims she's been making, and the lack of quality of her commentary on F1 racing. Can Sky
um,
please, please, please take her off the air?
more
Um,
Bernie, please. Less
yeah,
Danica, more Bernie, please.
exactly.
Either
But
way,
but
Bobby
yeah,
spotted this young
he
driver who also had all this media behind, because, let's be honest, it's fascinating that she's a
yeah.
woman doing something that no woman has done before. What a great
No,
signing from
to
him.
have that talent, you knew she was going to bring all that money along with her, which is an important part of motorsports, bring eyeballs to the series. There was all kinds of great sense in bringing her in, but yeah, she's not the only one. I mean, he found dozens of drivers that eventually went on to become solid IndyCar drivers. So,
Mhm.
he definitely had a great eye for talent, and that team has always been open to looking for talent. So, it's interesting now that they're the ones who are testing Mick Schumacher.
I know. I'm so excited to hear
Yeah,
about how that test goes. There's been such a great history of drivers who have maybe had checkered Formula One history coming over to IndyCar and really finding their footing here.
right.
I would love to see a Schumacher
Yeah, who
in
knows? Maybe
IndyCar.
he's the next Takuma Sato.
Takuma Sato, another
Yeah, another RLL. Yeah.
Brian Herta drove for RLL.
Hmm.
Yeah, just a long history of excellent drivers and but notably, they never had the level of success that they had with Bobby driving.
Right.
That is still the golden age of RLL. So when we talk about RLL today, I the I mean, without before researching for this episode, I knew they had a great history, and I knew that Bobby Rahal was a multiple time champion, and that's wonderful. Now that I know more about this history, I feel your disappointment in them a little bit harder. I
Right.
want more from them and
Yeah.
for them.
Exactly. I mean, this is one of the legendary IndyCar teams now. They've been around since, the 90s. So,
Mhm.
and it's just you want them to kind of take their place among those. I want them to be competing with the McLarens, with the Penske's, and those guys, with the Ganassis. They should be up there. They have the history, they have the talent, they have the pedigree. Hopefully they can figure this out and become more consistent in this series, because they shouldn't be running with the premise of the world.
Well, they've picked up another fan. So if energy means anything, hopefully that's a little nudge in the right direction.
That's awesome. Well, this has been great going back and looking at the career of one of my favorite drivers, someone I've luckily had the pleasure of meeting and kind of working with over the years. And I look forward to spending more time at the track and getting to know Bobby even better this season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you were able to meet a hero and walk away feeling good about him.
So that's it for our first episode of Legends of Indy. Oh, that was bad. That was horrible. Legends of Indy. That was
Oh
good.
God.
All right.
It's
So
just too good.
we'll see y'all next time on Rides and Drives Team Radio. Kaz, take us out.
Thanks everyone for joining us and drive safe today.